Is the updated Toyota Corolla the right car for you? Well, if you drive Amazon or Uber, then yeah, it is. But in this review, I'm going to tell you more. G'day, I'm Matt, and in this review we're taking a look at the updated 2023 Toyota Corolla sedan. And of course, we've got the hybrid model because the hybrid one is the one everyone wants and most people buy. Stay tuned, I've got plenty more info coming, and if you are watching this and finding that you're liking what you're seeing, please do hit like and subscribe. It helps me out a lot with this new channel of mine, and I really appreciate you joining me for this journey. So come on, let's hit it. There are three different versions of the Corolla sedan available. The base model Ascent Sport, which is this one here. Then the next step up is the SX, and it adds a few nice extras. And above that is the ZR, which now is available with hybrid. It used to be a petrol only offering, and it's definitely worth considering if you like the nicer things in life. When it comes to pricing, well, the base model starts at just over 28 grand. You add 3 grand more for hybrid, then you step up again about that much to SX. Again, same thing for hybrid. And at the top of the range is the ZR petrol and ZR hybrid. And the ZR hybrid top spec one is almost $40,000 before on-road costs. The Ascent Sport hybrid, I think, is pretty good value, just over $31,000, but consider this, that's about 4 grand more than it was before the facelift, and it hasn't actually added that much extra stuff. You still get LED headlights and LED daytime running lights. These have been redesigned. I think they look a bit nicer, but there's the same alloy wheels, and there's not much else aside from that apart from a new digital dashboard and digital radio. Of course, you do get a couple of extra incremental safety improvements, but Toyota still asks you to spend an extra $1,000 for blind spot monitoring and rear cross traffic alert on this grade. There really aren't that many alternatives to the Corolla hybrid sedan. No other small hybrid sedan exists at this sort of price point. So if this is what you're after, then well, this is your only choice. But if you want to spend just a little bit more and get something that is a bit bigger, then a Camry hybrid could be the right car for you. If you were okay with a hatchback, there's obviously the Corolla hatchback hybrid as well, and the new Honda Civic hybrid hatch, but it's about 25 grand more. If you don't care so much about the whole hybrid thing, then you might want to consider small sedans that are rivals to this, like the Hyundai i30 sedan, the Kia Cerato sedan, or the Mazda 3, which has a mild hybrid system, but it's nowhere near as efficient as this car. You might be surprised just how big small cars are these days. This is considered a small sedan, but let me tell you, it isn't diminutive. You might be surprised just how long this car is from nose to tail, and you will need to keep it in mind if you're parking in urban areas. But that said, you still get quite a bit of space inside. There's a big back seat and a big boot, which I'll get to in a sec. If you're the sort of person who thinks that a sedan isn't as practical as an SUV, well, you might be right in some cases, because there are some impracticalities with a boot this size. I mean, it's only so big, so you can only fit things that big in. I had a bit of a struggle fitting my pram in, and usually I don't have a struggle if I'm driving an SUV or a hatchback, so that might be something you want to consider. But if you do have the right shape of stuff to fit in here, there's 470 litres of boot capacity, which is massive compared to some of the other cars that are about this same size. The other thing you want to keep in mind though is it's got these gooseneck hinges that sort of eat into space as you close the lid, so you got to make sure that you don't have anything fragile underneath. There's nothing fragile in there. Base model interior, check! You've got cloth seats, they're manually adjustable, there's no seat heating, there's no rear air vents, but you don't get any rear air vents on any Corolla sedan, and I think that's a bit of an oversight. You only get one USB point in here, at least now it's a USB-C, and you get a plastic steering wheel, which isn't very nice to hold on to. Yep, the base model car feels like a base model car. At least you get climate control air conditioning on the hybrid version. The interior doesn't feel dramatically different to the pre-facelift version. There are a few changes that you will notice. Obviously, there's a 7-inch digital display for the driver, which is an improvement over the regular old cluster in the last model. There's a new media interface, so it's the same sort of screen size, but There's different menus and different skins, so it looks a bit different and feels a bit different to use. It actually takes a little bit more learning than the last one, but it will let you do more stuff while you're driving, which is good. The cup holders in between the seats aren't massive. There's bottle holders in the doors. They aren't massive either. Just keep that in mind. There's a covered center armrest there as well. It's nice to have something padded to put your elbow on because that's not padded, that's quite hard. And it does feel pretty affordable in here. Like I said before, this steering wheel is plastic and yucky to hold on to over long periods of time. And I did find that this seat position wasn't quite right. I just couldn't get my bum in the right spot. That might be different for you. You might have a different bum to me. Let's check out the back seat. So in the back seat, as you can see, this might take some getting used to. I'm 6 foot tall, 182 centimeters. I bump my head every time I get in or out of this car, and the headroom in the back actually isn't that great if you are as tall as I am. But the thing is, there's excellent legroom. Like, look how much space I've got here, plenty of footroom as well, and a decent amount of shoulder space for adult occupants. I've got a child seat fitted here too, and you can easily see that, well, that's my driving position. My bub would have easily enough space to kick their little feet around happily. Now, things you need to know about, well, there's only one map pocket. As I mentioned before, there are no rear air vents, no rear USB charging or 12 volt either, which is something you might want to consider because, well, you want to keep those in the back happy if you're driving a car like this, I guess. There are small door pockets and, well, nice little padded sections on the armrests here, but, you know, it's not that amazing in here. Ooh, hybrid. Yep, there's more power in this version than there was before. An extra 13 kilowatts, according to Toyota, and that's because of new stuff under the bonnet. You can read all about it if you want to somewhere else, but I'm not going to go into too much detail on it. 13 kilowatts more though is a good amount extra than it did have before, but it's hardly going to set your world on fire. It does run an eCVT, so CVT automatic transmission, front wheel drive, and if you choose petrol only instead of this hybrid model, it's a 2-litre 4-cylinder dynamic force engine with, well, a little bit more power, but not a huge amount of torque, and it's going to use more fuel. If you're after a car that's very easy to live with, this could be the right car for you. It's hard to come up with negatives about the drive experience in the Corolla, really, because it is just a really good car to drive. It's comfortable, composed, relatively quiet on the road as well, and it just does everything predictably. It's got a really cozy and cushy ride, which means that it's never really uncomfortable, even over sharp bumps. And, well, the ride isn't just the good part about the way the chassis is tuned. It also has nice steering and predictable handling, and it's very easy to drive at high speeds and low speeds, and it's also pretty easy to park for a car of this size. And look, it's not tiny, but it's not massive either. There's a good reverse camera, maybe not the best camera in the business. It's not going to be for everyone. It is a sedan after all, but for a lot of people who are overlooking cars like this in favor of SUVs, well, maybe they should have a look at something like this. The hybrid powertrain does have a slight power bump over the models that came before it, and you can feel that extra grunt. It isn't necessarily mind-blowingly fast, but it does push you back in your seat a little bit when you do put your foot down flat. Obviously, you will hear that engine roar to life when you do that, and that isn't the nicest sound. Because it's a CVT automatic, you do hear that a lot more when you do put your foot down, that sort of noise. And for some people, that's going to be a little bit frustrating. But if you can overlook that for the potential gains in real world fuel efficiency that you will see with this car, then honestly, it's not that big of a deal. The official combined cycle fuel consumption figure that Toyota states for this car is 3.9 litres per 100 kilometres. That's for every hybrid sedan in the Corolla range, and that is phenomenal. And the most phenomenal part of that is you can actually get pretty bloody close to that number in real world driving. I've done about 300 kilometers this week in this Corolla hybrid sedan, and I've seen 4.3 litres per 100 Ks. That is unreal. Now, if you don't want hybrid, there's something wrong with you, but if you don't want hybrid, then you can get the 2 litre petrol and it'll use 5.9 litres per 100 Ks, at least on the official numbers. In real world driving, you're more likely to see closer to 8 litres per 100 Ks based on experience that I've had with that powertrain in the past. The Corolla still has a valid 5-star NCAP safety rating from 2018, and that's when this generation model was tested. Now, it has seen some improvements for this facelifted version, including a new AEB system that takes into account motorcyclists and also junctions. So if you're approaching an intersection and someone's coming the other way, it'll stop you from turning in front of them if it doesn't think that you'll make the gap, which puts everyone in a safer position. It's a good thing to have. That's all well and good, but I think charging an extra $1,000 for blind spot monitoring and rear cross traffic alert on the base model grade is a bit rude. Toyota has an amazing reputation for ownership in Australia, there's no doubt about that. And that's despite the fact that it doesn't set the benchmark when it comes to warranty, for example. All Toyotas come with a 5-year unlimited kilometre warranty, which isn't too bad, it's par for the course. But if you service your car on time, you will get 7 years of warranty, and that's for the powertrain only. For hybrids, there's up to 10 years of warranty if you make sure you get your car checked at Toyota and get it serviced there too. So there's something to consider there. It doesn't have a roadside assist program included, you have to pay extra for that, but services are cheap at $205 for the first 5 years or 75,000 Ks. It's going to be cheap to own this car. So is the Toyota Corolla sedan the right car for you? Well, if you choose the hybrid, it's going to be the right car for a lot of people, and I actually think that the Ascent Sport might not be the right grade. I think the SX is more appealing, and the ZR could well be worth the splurge because it looks fantastic. Tell us what you think in the comments section below. Would you choose a Corolla hybrid? Would you choose something completely different? I'd love to know. And if you want to know anything about any other particular car, then, well, hit me up in the comments and I'll try and do a review for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.